Hi, my name is Lauren Kong, and the problem that I decided to show was number 50. A parachutist with a camera descends in free fall at a speed of 10 meters per second. The parachutist releases the camera at an altitude of 50 meters. A, how long does it take the camera to reach the ground? B, what is the velocity of the camera just before it hits the ground? So I started off with a diagram. This is my parachutist, and the parachutist drops the camera. The camera's velocity at that moment is 10 meters per second, and it is 50 meters off the ground. I put 0 meters as the ground, and I have decreasing towards the earth as the positive direction. So I plugged in everything that I knew. I knew that the initial velocity of the camera right as it was released is 10 meters per second. I don't know the final velocity. That's what I'm going to try to figure out. I know the acceleration is 9.8 meters per second because that's the acceleration of gravity. And I know that the displacement is 50 meters. And I don't know the time. So originally I went in order from A to B. And so I tried to figure out the time. But then I quickly realized that I would need a quadratic. And I didn't really want to do that math. So I skipped to trying to figure out the final velocity so that I can use a simple final velocity in order to find the time. So I did it kind of backwards. So the final velocity squared equals the initial velocity squared plus 2a and the displacement. So I plugged in everything that I knew, and I found the velocity, the final velocity, which is 32.86 meters per second. So I figured out B. What is the final velocity right as it hits that point before it hits the ground? So using that final velocity, I used a simple formula in order to find the time. And so I plugged it in, and I found that the time equals 2.33 seconds. So the parachutist drops the camera, and the camera takes 2.33 seconds before it hits the ground. And right before it hits the ground, it has a final velocity of 32.86 meters per second.